Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror films.
And today we'll be listing our top 10 killer animal films. I didn't say horror films because these might be debatable in the horror world.
There'll be a lot of debating
over what
rules.
Is horror, what should be on our island. Anyway.
What's an animal, all kinds of stuff.
Today we'll be listing our top 10 killer animal movies, desert island style.
And keep in mind that these are just our top 10 movies, the ones that we felt in our guts, strong enough to bring with us on a deserted desert island and only watch these for the rest of our days.
Our lives. Probably just days. Let's be honest. And as usual with our lists, we'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. This is not a 47-meter down deep dive into these films. Thank you. I said that joke earlier to Tony and he did not react at all. So I wrote it into our script for the intro, hoping he would pay attention to it this time. So yeah, basically we're just going over these films surface level. We might list some actors, but no spoilers as to the endings.
That's right. And if it's been a while since you've seen one of our desert island top 10 lists, Aleece, give us a little refresher. How do we come up with the list?
So we go into our separate corners and we write down our top 10 preferred killer animal movies. I write down my top 5 that are definitely coming with me to the island, and also a list of 5 on the lifeboat that I get to bring if, for example, you say, I want to bring man's best friend, and I had man's best friend on my list. I get to cross off man's best friend and dip into my lifeboat.
We don't want to bring 2 copies of the same movie. That's happened to us before where we've accidentally bought a copy of a movie we already have.
Yeah.
And then we're stuck with 2 or 3 copies of the same movie.
2 or 3 copies of man's best friend. You don't want that. Not on an island where you only get 10.
Depends if the special features are different, or maybe one's like a 4K copy. And
no, if I'm on an island, I don't care. I don't want 2 of the same movie for the rest of my days. If you outcast me to one side of the island, then fine, I'll bring my own copy of
We each get our own copy of Man's Best Friend. All right, it's settled. Episode is over.
Episode's over. We're going to our own separate islands.
All right. Very excited for this one because when you're on a desert island, you need a best friend.
That's not the topic of our island.
Oh, it's not top best friend movies? And
top man's best friend moment.
Exactly. There are so many animals out there on the island, maybe. So maybe it'll have that extra layer of scariness.
Yeah, and there could be some dangerous animals on this list. We need to know how to handle ourselves. So as usual, these films are educational.
So I think we should also start this episode by just going over some of the guidelines that we gave ourselves. And we tried to really make it a tight set of guidelines. Like, you can't include this, but you can't include this, and you can't include this. And we debated it for days and days and days. And then we kind of relented and said, okay, we are going to have a sort of guideline. And then, if something doesn't quite fit, then whatever,
sneak it in.
Yeah, sneak it in. Yeah. Argue for it. Yeah. So if you want to put in something like, I don't know, man's best friend.
Okay, so Tony really likes man's best friend. Or does he? Will it even make it on his list? Let's find out.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because in man's best friend, it's a dog that is genetically modified to become like this sort of enhanced super animal.
I thought it was a robot dog. So I was like, no robots, aka no man's best friend. All this time, I thought he had a bionic red Terminator eye. And so I was
had hawk vision. Just like
I was like, no robots, no man's best friend.
Yeah.
But okay, if he's just a GMO, he's just genetically enhanced, then he can come to the island. That is fine. But if he was a robot, then he couldn't come. So no robots, no aliens, no monsters such as Godzilla, no made up creatures like the ghoulies. They do resemble bats and cats sometimes, but essentially they are made up creatures. So no ghoulies, no humanoids, no half human, half man creatures such as werewolves.
But we are okay with...
no mermaids. No mermaids.
Damn it. Okay.
Did you include a mermaid?
Hold on. I have to change my entire list.
Goodness.
It's all full of mermaids. But we did say yes to animals that are genetically modified or mutated in some way. There could be instances where it is an animal or resembles an animal that exists, but it is fictitious. So on my list, and I will argue for this, that I just went by, it has to resemble an animal like more than an alien or a monster.
Exactly. 85% resembles a real animal.
Right.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And also we are allowing for animals that may or may not be extinct. They existed at one point, but perhaps like the dodo bird. Everyone knows that horror movie with the dodo bird, right? Dodo birds don't exist. But hey, if we found a horror movie with a killer dodo bird, I would allow that on the island.
All right. Okay. So many rules for this thing.
I know. This was a very complicated list.
Well, because I think the reason why we had this guideline is because you can think about something like a creature feature or something like eco horror. Like these are sort of subgenres of horror that are pretty wide. So like in creature feature, it could be something like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Exactly, which I love, but that falls under the category of humanoid, half human, half creature underwater.
Right. So we did want to really focus on animals specifically because we love animals.
We love animals.
And
anaphylactic shock happens.
And animals are also incredibly terrifying.
They're scary.
Yes. If we go out into nature as human beings, we're not at the top of the food chain.
We're not. We're only at the top because we have homes and like dwellings for the most part. We have inventions that we have created to protect ourselves. But if we went out naked and afraid, we would be afraid.
And we'd probably die by the biggest killer of humans in the world, which is mosquitoes.
Oh, I thought you meant literally the biggest. I was going to say we're going to die by the smallest creature, which is mosquitoes.
But yeah, us as humans, we are afraid of big creatures and small creatures. So we're afraid of things like insects and ants and
cats.
I love cats, but
if they were twice our size, they would be terrifying, like lions and leopards. So, all right, question. Tony, what is the scariest animal to you?
Snail.
Okay. What? That's
not a serious answer.
No.
The animal that I would say I'd be the most afraid of would probably have to be something in the water because I'm not a great swimmer. And I know that everything that lives in the ocean swims a lot better than I do.
Yeah.
And there are creatures in the ocean that could swallow me with one easy gulp.
Yeah. And you can't see them. When you are swimming at the surface, you can't see them unless you submerge yourself completely, which I think that's the most terrifying thing.
Yeah. So I would say maybe like one of those anglerfish.
Oh, yeah.
Those things are pretty scary.
And the scary teeth.
Yeah. Or a shark. Yeah. I was trying to skirt the obvious answer.
Obvious? Yeah. But which kind of shark?
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you were to be mauled by a great white, then I think that would definitely be a very tragic and scary, horrifying experience.
Yeah.
Because not only do you risk like bleeding out or like losing your limbs or being eaten alive, but you're also at risk of drowning,
never being found again, and also just reliving your childhood nightmare of iconic scary movies. Yeah.
How about you? What is the scariest animal to you?
I mean, yeah, the scariest scenario of dying would be to be left in the middle of the ocean, which, spoiler, open water is not on this list because I never want to see that movie again. Because if I had to pick a list of top 10 movies that have like scarred me and I never want to watch them again, open water's one of them. That's the scariest scenario I can think of, being left in the middle of the ocean with a bunch of sharks.
What about something more domestic?
Something more domestic?
Yeah.
I know you're hinting at something. Yeah, spiders. Okay. I check my shoe every day to make sure there's not a spider in the toe because they're tiny and they're sneaky. And for the most part, they're pretty docile. They don't want to eat me, but I get bit by them all the time. I don't get bit by mosquitoes. Tony does. I get bit by spiders, and they leave giant purple welts on me.
This place is infested.
We are infested, which we did watch recently. And I was like, yep, that looks infested.
Did that make it onto your list? See, I'm trying to get information so I know how to strategically play my list.
I don't think I would want to watch Infested over and over again. Spoiler for my list, but that's not one that I want to see.
You've already spoiled your list like 3 times.
No, I haven't. You don't know. There are lots of movies out there.
Yeah.
All right.
We should get into it. And if there happens to be a double, then do we have to select the next movie from our top 5, or then can we dip into
there are no doubles.
Lifeboat?
That's the point. So if I say Man's Best Friend and you had that on your list, you cross off Man's Best Friend from your list, and then when it's your turn, you can dip into your Lifeboat.
On the next round, because I think that's where we got into trouble before.
So you want to, so you have a core 5.
So I should go through those first.
Go through those first.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Do not dip into your Lifeboat until your core 5 are done or crossed off.
Well, that's what I did last time is I immediately went into my Lifeboat as soon as we had a double.
Yeah.
So that's where I was trying to clarify.
Yeah. So, and then he ended up leaving Freddie on the Lifeboat.
It was a technicality. Sorry, Freddie.
Sorry, Freddy Krueger. Next time.
That's
all right. Now we need a Rochambeau to see who goes first.
Oh, right? Rochambeau. Okay.
So we're going to do rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I win. I get to go first.
Okay.
That's ultra important because we only want to bring our movies. Although I have a feeling that we are going to have a bit of crossover.
We might have the same top
10. But then again, Aleece is known for some kind of oddball, out of left field picks, which I don't fault you for. I think that's great that you have a very wide interpretation of what a movie is. Or what an animal is, or what a horror movie is?
No, I made these rules of no's and yeses. Very strict.
Okay. Let's see if we can follow the rules.
I'm a rule follower.
The very first movie that is coming with us to our desert island is... Dun, 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 dun. Do you know it?
Piranha.
That's right. It is what many consider to be probably the most famous animal in horror or in a summer blockbuster. It is the movie Jaws. Directed by Steven Spielberg, a movie that has scared an entire generation of moviegoers. People will not get into their own bathtubs because they're afraid of sharks.
Okay, that's not true for me now, but that was true for me as a kid. This was one of the first horror movies I watched because my mom was like, it's a family movie because it was Steven Spielberg. And we watched this when I was a kid. I was like 4 or something. And I was terrified of my bathtub and a swimming pool after that.
I definitely remember being afraid of swimming pools because there'd always be one kid who's like, shark. Yeah.
Yeah, terrifying.
Definitely afraid of the ocean.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so excited because that was your number 1.
I mean, I feel like that's the most obvious killer animal movie.
That is.
Yeah. We have this shark who I have just found out that the shark's name is not Jaws. It's an unnamed shark.
Do you know
the movie is Jaws, but the shark's prop name is Bruce.
Yes.
So Bruce doesn't have quite the same ring.
Bruce is coming.
Because I also thought that Jaws was a lady. Because doesn't Jaws have babies in subsequent?
That's the implication.
Or is that a spoiler?
I think the implication is that Jaws, aka Brucette, I think actually they do name the shark Brucette in a subsequent film. But
well, I'm also okay with Bruce can be a female name.
Yeah.
That's fine. Our
Yeah,
cats
it's
are
cool.
females and their names are Jason and
Freddy
Freddy.
and Jason. Yeah. Potato, unisex.
Also, all three of them, killers.
Killer felines.
They will kill a cricket or a bird. Anything else you'd like to say about Jaws?
I love Jaws.
I mean, Jaws, I think, is probably the perfect movie. It's endlessly rewatchable.
And we're going to be on an island surrounded by water. I think it's perfect. The perfect terrifying environment to watch Jaws is on a stranded, deserted island.
That might be infested by sharks.
Might be surrounded by sharks. So I think we're going to learn some good tips from Jaws.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider has some really good tips that he uses because he's just an average dude, average cop guy.
Yep.
And he's afraid of the water, but he still knows how to handle himself on the water.
Yep.
It is like one of my top 5 favorite movies, like horror movies of all time.
I think it ranks high on a lot of people's lists.
It's my top 3.
And I think we're going to be singing on this island the, oh, no, I want to go home. Oh,
Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
There's some great sailor drinking scenes in Jaws.
I love Roy Scheider's character. I love
Hooper. We have Hooper, Brody, and Quint.
Yeah, Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss, and Quint, the best asshole in film history. It's like, you really want to be his friend, but you're really annoyed at him too, especially when he bashes that radio system.
The thing about Jaws is when it came out and it was such a hit, it spawned just endless killer animal movies and movies that are essentially ripoffs of Jaws or that are heavily influenced by Jaws and have similar characters.
And similar theme songs. That iconic John Williams da-dun, da-dun is rehashed in a different way that's kind of not as good many a time.
Yeah. So this movie is definitely on the list.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
It's one of the best.
It is. It's perfect. That was my number 1. So I will cross that off my core list and I'll dip into my reserves later.
Thank you for clarifying that because I would have still messed it up. Still confused on the rules here.
All right. Number 2. This one I think gets heat for being called not a horror film. I don't care. It's thrilling and I want to watch.
Is it Air Bud?
Air Bud, very thrilling. Who knows what that little dog's gonna do? No, it's not Air Bud. It's Jurassic Park.
All right.
Same director. Several years later, 1993, starring Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
Well,
Try to.
I love Jurassic Park. Watch that forever. I can quote it. I won't have to now because I'll be able to watch it on my island forever.
I was going to ask you, what are your favorite quotes?
Nature finds a way. And that's why it's on here.
You know, that is actually my number 2 movie as well. Maybe the thing with these killer animal movies is that if you count dinosaurs and killer animals, because maybe some people might not, that these seem like 2 of the biggest movies ever, not even just like in the sort of action horror adjacent, whatever you want to call it. I do also think that Jurassic Park is a horror movie.
Thank you.
There are so many elements to it. It's not just one genre, but there are definitely a lot of elements of people being eaten whole, people being chased.
Apart. There's that whole cat and mouse chase between Lex and Tim, and when they're in the kitchen being chased by 3 raptors. Terrifying. Is it 3 or 2? Several raptors. I saw this as a kid when it first came out, and in the theater, I was hiding behind my mom again, because just that raptor chase scene was so terrifying. And you just replace raptor with slasher, and you get the same scene.
You also happen to be wearing the Jurassic Park t-shirt, so
Spoiler.
I had a feeling that would have been on your
That would
list.
be a surprise if I did not have this on my list. I had the shirt on.
Another little tidbit, and I think we've mentioned this on another episode, but we had once dressed up as Dr. Ian Malcolm and Lex from Jurassic Park for Halloween.
Spot on costume.
It was kind of like a last minute costume. I think that we maybe thought of the idea like 2 days before, because we could have gone as Timmy and Lex, or Dr. Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, or Dennis Nedry, and the
Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, that would have been a good costume.
I would love to be a Dilophosaurus.
But Aleece does bear some resemblance to this child character, especially when she was young.
When I was younger, I got called Lex from Jurassic Park. So I thought, all right, one day I'm going to be that for Halloween.
We just happened to have some green Jello in the pantry.
We had green Jello. We had a spoon. We had
That's not true. We actually went out and bought it.
Okay, fine. We bought green Jello.
We ended up at a Benihana for some reason on Halloween.
I had a coupon.
Yeah. And we showed up. Nobody's dressed in costume. It is Halloween night. 0 people dressed in costume. Yeah. We show up in costume. And if if the moment where Lex is eating
she has
Jell-O,
a bruise and an abrasion under her eye. Her hair's all tousled. She looks beat.
Yeah. And then I come in with this sort of like wide open black button-up shirt, and my hair kind of like slicked back, and of course I had the leg brace as well, but no one could really see that, so I definitely looked like some sort of abusive boyfriend.
Oh man, nobody else was dressed
times,
up. Yes. It was fun though. Had a good picture at Benihana.
Awesome way to start our list. 2 absolute classics. You could call them bangers.
2 Spielberg bangers. That's the thing with these animal movies. There are a lot of killer animal movies, but I feel like not that many are like solid that you want to watch over and over again.
My next pick is another 90s movie. So you already know what it is.
Stop eating my sesame cake. Stop eating my sesame cake!
When Facebook was formed, I actually started a fan club for this movie. It was called Totally Apeshit for the movie Congo.
Yeah. Back when Facebook groups first started.
And yeah, exactly. I don't know if the group still exists. I'm going to have to go check up on that.
Check it out, guys. See if you can find it.
Anyways, we had like 20 or 30 members. So I know at least 20 or 30 people love this movie as well. It's always been one of my favorites growing up. I can watch it endlessly over and over again. Also very quotable.
Ugly mother, ugly lady.
Ugly woman.
The gorilla.
Yes, we have Amy the gorilla, who is taken out to the jungles in Africa to find home.
She's trying to find home. She's been drawing home, so we think. She's been taught ASL by her, I don't know, caretaker?
Yeah, his doctor, I actually forgot his name. But
who knows? He's forgettable.
It's Dr. Peter Elliott.
Dr. Elliott.
He's played by Dylan Walsh. You don't really see Dylan Walsh in too many things.
Yeah.
But Laura Linney, Ernie Hudson, Tim Curry. With one of the best Tim Curry performances as Homolka. What's his name? His name is Hermerker Homolka.
Yeah.
And he's like, Governor, please.
Governor, please.
Captain, please.
In a lot of these animal movies, there's always someone who is either greedy or like unwilling to cooperate, or someone who goes against nature.
Yeah. But he's like my favorite greedy villain. He's so lovable. He's like the most lovable, greedy villain in these movies.
And they are trying to find the lost city of Zinj. And of course, they end up finding these killer gorillas. The killer animal here is something that is not exactly a real animal, but it's base enough off of a gorilla that
it's at least 85% real. And it's not just those ancient monkeys that are terrifying. The hippo scene was, to me, one of the most terrifying scenes I had seen in the movie.
Overall, a great movie. Another one of those movies where it could possibly be horror adjacent. It definitely has a lot of this sort of like adventure movie type of vibe.
A lot of Frank Marshall movies do. I feel like Steven Spielberg and Frank Marshall were kind of making similar killer animal movies at that time.
Frank Marshall and Steven Spielberg started Amblin Entertainment together, so they had worked together quite a bit.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Congo was my number 6 movie, which means it was my very first movie in my Lifeboat.
Nice.
It did not make it into my core, but I'm glad I can check that off my Lifeboat. Next up on our island, I'm bringing a classic, something that came out even before Jaws, The Birds from 1963. The Birds is a lot of people's, like, one of their favorite Hitchcock films. We all know Psycho, but I feel like Birds is up there as one of the top Hitchcock films.
Right. With definitely some really terrifying moments.
There are. And my favorite scene is when Tippi Hedren's outside of the school and she's smoking her cigarette and she can see some birds flying around her. And we see just this very gradual progression of crows landing on this jungle gym behind her. At first, it's just a couple, and then slowly it builds and builds, and we hear the sounds of an a cappella children's chorus in the background, which is the creepiest part. Just like children singing in unison with no music to back them up. Terrifying. And then we follow one lone bird that's flying, and Tippi Hedren can see this bird flying, and it goes behind her, and she looks, and the jungle gym is encompassed in all these birds.
Leave it to Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense. What is he known for? Is he known for being the master of...
I think he's the master of suspense because it's just like this slow creep. And it's not like in your face bird. I mean, it does have that too, but it introduces like the slow creep, which I think is that suspense feeling.
And also bringing something that is just around and something that you don't ever really feel threatened by. Like there are birds around all the time if you're in any city in the countryside.
Yeah.
But to make that animal something that is potentially going to kill you or attack you.
One bird is fine, but a bunch, terrifying.
We've been watching some different animal attack movies to see if maybe they might creep onto our list, because I feel like the list does have a lot of heavy hitters.
Yeah.
But you never know. Like, some of these other ones. We did watch a movie from the 90s called Bats. They definitely were influenced by the birds. There were certain elements of the movie where I was like, they took that directly from
the birds. And maybe ghoulies. Because several bats
did look
ghoulies.
A little rubbery. Yeah.
They're pretty cute, actually.
We got a little Hitchcock on the island.
Got some Hitchcocks.
And a classic. So this is good. We have a couple of 90s movies. We have one from the 70s and one from the 60s. So a good representation of also different types of animals so far.
Nothing from the 80s yet.
Nothing yet.
Or the aughts.
Okay. So is it my turn?
Yes.
All right. My next movie that is coming with us on our desert island is a sort of best friend, but it's not man's best friend.
What?
It's not man's best friend.
Oh, got it.
It's another could be best friend had he not been bitten by a rabid bat. I'm bringing Cujo to the island.
Cujo.
Come on, Cujo. Come on, boy. Come on, Cujo. Go on, that dog. You don't know that dog. Don't worry about it, ma'am. Cujo won't hurt him. He likes kids.
One of my favorite animal attack movies ever. It is just so edge of your seat. You could feel all of the suspense and all of the action that's happening with...
It's very suspenseful and very sweaty.
Yeah, Dee Wallace, she's great in it. Danny Pintaro as Tad Trenton.
I don't know Danny Pintaro from anything else, but we all know Dee Wallace. She's in many a horror film, and when she's in a movie, she delivers. She does a great job at screaming and fighting and being sweaty.
And this is another movie that did actually scare me as a kid. I don't think I had actually ever seen Cujo in its entirety until I was an adult, but I was aware of Cujo. And, you know, like there are certain horror movies where you don't even have to watch it. And I feel like Jaws is one of those movies. You don't have to watch it, but you know about it and it scares you.
Yeah.
Cujo was one of those movies for me where it's like, I know that there's this big giant dog and it's attacking these people. And that really scared me as a kid.
And I think Stephen King has a lot of novels or a lot of stories like that, where it's like, you know about Cujo, even if you haven't seen Cujo. As a kid, I hadn't seen Cujo either. I hadn't seen Christine, but I knew about Cujo. I knew about Christine. I knew they're about the dog in the car.
So that combination of killer dog, killer car.
Killer dog, killer car, Carrie, the 3 C's.
Yeah.
Terrifying C names.
Yes. And brilliant performance by Cujo. Who was played by several different dogs and also people dressed up as dogs.
Really?
I've seen this on social media. The guy who is dressed up as Cujo, like on his lunch break with his head off, just kind of like standing there.
Oh, I've seen that picture. I didn't understand what it was.
I think they might have used animatronics as well, but I know there was definitely several dogs that were required. And they even had a dog that was wearing a Saint Bernard costume. So it was like a Great Dane or something like that.
It's funny that, okay, so they had this movie and then in the next decade, they had the movie Beethoven with a Saint Bernard. Where he's just this lovable, oafy, smart, loyal dog. I almost wonder if like lovers of Saint Bernards were upset with Cujo and were like, we need to fix this.
Well, yeah, in the 90s, Saint Bernards were definitely very popular as dogs, probably because of Beethoven.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that many Saint Bernards recently.
Yeah. Petered out after Beethoven died down. But
well, hopefully they'll make a resurgence.
Yeah. But Cujo's a good one. I do love Cujo.
Cujo's great.
I feel like if there's one movie on this island to make me feel better about my situation, it's Cujo. Because if I'm stuck on a tiny island, what's tinier than an island? A car. Yeah.
And, you know, for a few minutes there, Cujo is very nice and lovable.
He's nice. He's a good dog. And he's bit by a bat.
Yeah, just unfortunate.
So who's the real terror?
Exactly.
The bat.
Bats. As we've learned from the movie Bats.
Yeah.
All right. Cujo's coming with us.
Cujo's coming.
We need a good boy.
Now we have our 80s movie. This next one might not be many people's favorite, and it might not be in their top 5 of killer animal movies. What do you mean?
Here we go.
You're gonna love it. This was one of my favorites, and I feel like it's grown on me as the years have gone by. It was made in 1999. It's Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. All right.
Yup, our killer crocodile that ended up in the middle of a serene lake.
Lake Placid is a movie that I feel like I had watched in the 90s, maybe during the video rental days, but I had forgotten everything about it except for there's an alligator, or is it an alligator or a crocodile?
It's a crocodile.
A croc.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the only thing I remembered from it. And we recently rewatched it, and oh boy.
It's a good one.
Does that have a lot of this sort of like 90s style humor and jokes?
I mean, most of the 90s style offensive jokes are from our offensive character, Oliver Platt's character. But it's got such an all-star cast. It has Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, Brendan Gleeson, Betty White. I mean, like 5 big names there.
Betty's great in it too.
Betty's
she
amazing.
is my favorite in that movie.
She's great, but I really love the relationship arc of Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt's characters. They start off butting heads, and in the end, they're just like this total... I won't spoil it, but I mean, I feel like as the movie progresses, they have developed this total bromance or just romance. It's cute. It's adorable. And I do feel like Bridget Fonda has such perhaps an annoyingly written character, but because it's Bridget Fonda, she knows how to deliver and portray this character in the least annoying way possible. I mean, there are some moments she just can't help it. It's like written on the page. She has to scream. She has to be annoying, but she does it in such a way that seems so earnest and realistic, and she cries for the characters that die. I'm like, okay, Bridget, good job. You get a golden gut if I could.
Whereas
give
so
you
many
one.
times in other movies, a character dies, and then within 30 seconds, everyone just kind of goes about their life and
they're
they don't
making
care,
jokes.
and they're cracking jokes.
But in this one, like, she actually cries for the people that die. And
Yeah.
that's realistic in this little innocuous ho-hum comedy thriller.
Come and get it!
This is the second movie on our list that has animals that are made with CGI. I was going to say the first, but that's because Jurassic Park CGI is so good and it holds up to this day that it almost doesn't seem like CGI. But the croc in Lake Placid definitely seems
Like, even at
CGI.
the time that you saw it in the 90s, you're like,
Did you think that it holds up, or do you think that it's just really laughably bad? Because I have some on my list where the CGI is so laughably bad. This has become an entire different subgenre of killer animal movies, like Mega Shark versus Sharknado, Octopus Robot, Ghost Shark. There's
Sand
even
Shark,
a movie called Bad CGI Shark, I think.
Bad CGI shark. Isn't there one called like Pool Shark? There's one like a swimming pool.
But there's so
That's
many.
Ghost Shark.
They crank these movies
Yeah.
out like at an insane amount. You could never possibly watch all of them.
Yeah, which shout out to Bucket of Chum Podcast. He has an entire podcast that goes over all of these different shark movies, which entertaining. Go listen to that one.
Yeah. But anyways, I did want to talk about the quality of the animal.
I think with Lake Placid, I think they do both. I think they have some CGI moments, but they also have some non-CGI moments.
Okay.
I think that like there's a scene where like the crocodile is in a helicopter. And I don't think that's CGI. I think there are moments where they kind of go back and forth. So there are some crocodile/alligator movies that have terrible CGI alligator crocodiles. One of them might be Lake Placid 2, which we watched recently. That CGI is worse than Lake
It's
Placid
awful,
1. So I would say this one's not terrible. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought this was actually a good movie.
I'm willing to forgive some bad CGI
Yeah.
if the movie is entertaining enough or good enough.
Yeah, like the acting is solid and the story and the relationships. I do feel like some of the comedy that really comes through is solid. So
Yeah.
I will say, no, this is not a laughably bad movie that's coming onto the island.
Okay, well, a laughably bad CGI movie that is coming onto our island might be coming up next
good.
on my list.
Can't wait.
Also, this is coming from the late 90s.
Ooh.
This is a movie from 1997, and it is Anaconda. For someone who was, I think I was in middle school at the time, was like, yes, this is awesome. Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez. The trailer really sold up the fact that she was going to be like wet and wearing like a tank top the whole time.
Wet spaghetti strap tank top. Yes.
So I was like, all right, sign me up. Of course, the snake in this movie looks god awful.
Yes, I will say the snake moments are bad CGI. I feel like
Really
Lake
bad.
Placid is better than this one. But I do love Anaconda. It actually is in my Lifeboat. It's number 9 in my Lifeboat.
Wow.
So
Okay. This is number 5 on my list.
Wow. I'm excited to bring Anaconda. And because at the time I saw this movie because I was a big fan of Eric Stoltz. And he's in one of my favorite movies called Mr. Jealousy, directed by Noah Baumbach. And I was like, Eric Stoltz is in it. I'm in. And if you've seen Anaconda, watch past the first 5 minutes. He's not in it very much. Won't spoil
But he still
why.
plays a crucial role.
He's a crucial role in the movie.
Yeah.
So
We have John Voight. We have Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
and
Carrie Werr.
from Sliders.
Danny Trejo.
Okay, he has such a small role. I actually forgot he was in it. Yeah, but John Voight plays a really good creep with his ambiguous accent. I don't know where he's supposed to be from.
Paraguay. Really?
I will admit I haven't seen Anaconda in a while, but it is one of those movies where it will occasionally be on like Sci-Fi Channel
Yeah.
or on TV.
Yeah.
And if I catch that it's on, I will watch it.
I'll watch about 10 minutes of it and be like, yep, good, solid movie.
Also, like another tale of somebody who is greedy,
Yeah.
and other people who are just trying to do something positive for nature.
Or make a documentary. As far as the greedy characters go, Tim Curry's way more lovable than Jon Voight in Anaconda.
Tim Curry's in it for the riches. I think Jon Voight is in it for like the fame, maybe the fame aspect.
It's one of those where it's like, how do I hunt? How do I master an apex predator and show that I am above the apex predator? Like a dentist that wants to go hunt a tiger or something.
But it is interesting that this is a recurring theme.
Comes up in some movies with animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
We have 2 spots left.
This is going to make for some really tough decisions.
So I have 1 movie left in my core, 2 left in my Lifeboat. And now that I'm looking at them, do I want to swap one of the ones in my Lifeboat for my core one? No, I don't, because I have a reason for why this one's in my core. Even though, as far as movies go, I like this one in my Lifeboat more. But as far as trying to diversify my top 10 desert island killer animal movies, I want to bring this movie that I saw in 2023.
It's a recent one. Huh?
Recent one.
Actually, that's good because most of our movies are a lot older. And looking at my list, I almost put something that was, I want to say like 8 years old, but that would have been the newest movie, but I didn't end up putting it on my list.
So this one's from 2023. It has a great soundtrack. It has some great actors that I like right now. And it's funny. And I love a really good horror comedy.
Wow. Okay. I'm curious. What is it?
And it's a different kind of animal that we don't have on the island yet. It is Cocaine Bear.
Bear, straight up!
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear, directed by Elizabeth Banks and written by the guy who wrote The Babysitter, which I love, and I can't remember his name. I'll find that out later. Carrie Russell is the mom, and it's set in the 80s, so we get some really good 80s tunes. We have some songs from Berlin, No More Words. We have Depeche Mode's Just Can't Get Enough. And we, of course, have the song White Lines because it's Cocaine Bear.
It makes a lot of sense being in the 80s and the bear is on cocaine. The bear just can't get enough cocaine.
Just can't get enough. And he is a bad CGI bear, and I don't even care. No one does.
I didn't think it was that bad. It's definitely not silly. Anaconda level bad. Anaconda is like really, really bad like CGI.
Reboot style. The CGI of Cocaine Bear is perhaps worse than the CGI crocodile in Lake Placid. But I don't even care because it's cute. CGI Mama Bear has CGI baby bears and they're all doing coke together. It's a family movie. And it's actually a lot more brutal than I thought it was going to be before I saw it. People are getting ripped apart by this CGI Cocaine Bear. And it's funny. And I love the little boy in the movie who does cokes.
Kids doing coke.
Not that I'm condoning anybody.
Well, that's why it's a movie. It's fun to watch it.
Fun to watch
as a fantasy.
It's not real.
Exactly.
Yeah, funny movie.
We found cocaine in the country. There's cocaine in the forest, and the bear ate it and then went crazy on me and Dee. And then that guy back there. Did you hear him scream? He's so dead. I'd love to not remember that, but it kind of seems like the thing that stays with a man forever.
People were getting torn to shreds in Jaws, and people were screaming in fear. Now we're laughing.
At it. It's a great way to show the trajectory of how animal horror movies have gone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my last one that I can bring to our island, Cocaine Bear from 2020.
Very nice. Okay, I agree with that one. That will be a nice little comedy, a fun one, and we definitely always need a movie with a great soundtrack on the desert island because
some sort of dance party to go on.
Yeah, our iPod is out of battery.
Our iPod is our DVD player,
and we don't have any more CDs or tapes or 8-tracks.
Nope.
Yeah.
Gone. All right.
Physical media desert island. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Man, that leaves me with some pretty tough decisions because I have all 5 of my Lifeboat options to take, but I can only take one of them. And I was hoping to at least take 2.
You have all of your core on the island now, right?
All of my core made it.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah, which is great because I'm glad that all the core made it. So now I have to choose one from the lifeboat. I'm going to have to make some really tough decisions here. And I think I am going to make this decision based off of the animal type. Because we do have a little bit of a diversity of animals. We have...
Ooh, should I list all the movies that we have?
Yeah, let's just quickly recap
Okay.
the 9 movies that are coming with us on our Desert Island Killer Animal Edition.
Okay.
And what type of animal.
So I'll say the movie, you say the animal, yeah?
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
here we go. We have Jaws.
Fish.
Wow,
Sorry,
okay.
shark.
We have Jurassic Park,
Dinosaurs.
Congo,
Apes.
and hippos. The
Or
bird-
gorillas. Sorry, gorilla.
Yeah, gorillas and hippos. The birds.
Cats. Birds.
Come on. Cujo.
You should have never let me be the person
I
to
know.
say that. Cujo, the dog.
Thank you. Lake Placid.
Crocodile.
Anaconda.
Anaconda.
Cocaine bear.
Bear on cocaine.
Bear on cocaine.
Do we have any repeats of the animal type or
Shark,
or no?
dinosaur, gorilla, birds, dog, crocodile, snake, bear. No.
No. Okay. So that just seals it for me. I think I definitely have to go with my lifeboat choice. That's a different type of animal. It is a movie that was also, I think, has frightened an entire generation.
Yes.
You already know what it is. It came out in 1990, directed by Frank Marshall.
Yes.
It's Arachnophobia.
Oh.
So if Jaws is the thing that terrified the entire world in the sea, Arachnophobia is a movie that terrified an entire world in their house.
To not put on their shoes.
And as you were saying earlier in the episode, you check your shoes every day because of this movie.
I squish the toe of my shoes every single time I put them on.
What's wrong?
Some damn thing bit me.
But yes, Arachnophobia, 1990. Saw it when I was a kid. I remember being scared, but I also remember just like, because it does have sort of like a little love element to it.
Yeah.
So
It does.
I remember being fascinated.
Yeah. A love element between whom?
The spider.
The spiders and John Goodman?
No, the 2 spiders. Okay, so Arachnophobia, there is an highly venomous, deadly spider that is from Venezuela.
I think so. Julian Sands, the late, great Julian Sands, rest in peace, is part of this expedition in, I think, South America somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like Venezuela.
Yeah.
Venezuela, yeah.
To collect these rare spiders. And one of the photographer on his expedition gets bit by one of these rare spiders. And they bring it back in this photographer's dead corpse. They don't mean to bring it back, but the guy dies while on this expedition, and they ship his body back to his middle of nowhere town or small town in Maine.
Jeff Daniels' character is a doctor from San Francisco relocating to this small town where he's like one of 2 doctors.
Yeah.
And he also has arachnophobia.
He's afraid of a lot of things. Yeah. He's afraid of spiders and the outdoors in general. But his wife, played by, what's her name? Haley Jane Kozak, who's in House on Sorority Row.
Right. I love her. And I love her in that movie, but I love her in this movie as well.
Yeah.
She's great.
So she's kind of like this go-getter outdoorsy woman. And so she's like, oh, he's just a little spider. He's more afraid of us than we are of them. And she gets it and she puts it in the barn where the ancient scary spider is, and they mate. So that's the love story you're talking about?
Yeah. It's like it's a hybrid deadly spider. Also like similar to the movie Bats that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Not to spoil that too much, but I don't think that's really that much of a spoiler.
Nah.
And no one's going to go see Bats. Let's get real.
They
here.
might. Lou Diamond Phillips, come on.
Anyways, this sort of hybrid deadly venomous spider with a common house spider has the potential to spread all across the country and wreak havoc because it is really wreaking havoc in this one town.
And the only line of defense is the exterminator played by John Goodman. And that's one of the best roles that I've seen John Goodman in.
Yeah, that's right. I'm bad.
It's funny. There's like this funny, like little tango dance between John Goodman and that spider behind a toilet. And I remember as a kid laughing at that scene, but being really terrified of where these spiders could be.
That's the thing that makes them scary. They could be anywhere because they're so small and they live in your house.
Yes.
So I think that for our desert island, spiders definitely have to be on there. We'll probably, after watching the movie, be totally paranoid.
Yeah.
And just any little thing you feel on your body, you're like, oh my God, that's a spider.
Yeah, it's a spider. Is it my hair or a spider? Probably a spider. Yeah. I would probably end up shaving my head on this island just because I don't want to accidentally think that my hair is a spider or vice versa. Anyway.
Yeah. You know, come to think of it, I think the experience of being on this deserted island is going to be more terrifying than the movies that we choose.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll find comfort in the horror movies.
Like I said, educational.
So that's it. Arachnophobia.
We
have
got
spiders.
Spiders. I feel really bad because 9 out of 10 of my movies are on the island.
That's okay.
And you only 5 out of 10 are on yours.
I'm still going to mention my my Lifeboat movies. Maybe they're like just on another island. So they're like on like Site B, you know, like Lost World.
We have to swim there.
Isla Nublar and Isla, what's the other one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
One of them was Isla Nublar. Don't know which one.
There's several islands anyway.
Yeah.
So if we happen to swim over to the other island, maybe my movies will be over there.
Yeah. So on our island with us, we have Jaws, Jurassic Park, Congo, The Birds, Cujo, Lake Placid, Anaconda, Cocaine Bear, and Arachnophobia. Was that all
Very
of them?
nice.
3,
I believe
4,
that's
5,
10,
6,
unless we
7,
don't know
8.
how to count.
Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
9? Okay, we do not know how to count.
Did I forget one?
We clearly don't know how to count. And
Well, it's because my bullet points aren't numbered.
for those following along, and we're thinking like, oh, that seems awful quick to get to 10.
Yeah.
You're right. We were only at 9. So, okay, that's great. We get one more movie.
I got to bring my last movie.
So, so you are getting to bring all 10 of your movies to this island?
That's never happened in desert island history.
Hey, it's just a way to play the game, you know?
We've never had this situation where one of us gets to bring our entire top 10. Now I feel
But
bad.
that just means that I chose the movies that you wanted.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you so well.
You know me so well.
Exactly.
And apparently I don't know you at all. Okay, I have one movie left and it's Jaws 2.
Jaws 2. Jaws 2.
Watch out! Watch!
I love Jaws 2.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
actually number 8 on my list altogether. It's right above Anaconda and Arachnophobia. I love Jaws 2. It's like a horror version of The Breakfast Club. You just have a bunch of teens in some boats being terrorized by Jaws.
Just hanging on boats.
Just hanging out on boats. We have Donna Wilkes, who we love from Angel.
Yep.
She plays Angel in Angel. We have Keith Gordon, who's in Christine and Dressed to Kill. We also have one of my favorite characters. I don't know her name, but in the movie, she's Marge.
Oh, yeah.
And when I saw this movie as a kid, I was like, I love Marge. I loved her style. I loved her personality. And I mean, I'm going to have to spoil this a little bit. She is, to me, one of the most tragic characters, tragically underdeveloped also, might I add. I love Marge.
Is it just because of her style? You want to know more about her backstory?
I want to know more about Marge. She does her best to keep little Sean safe. like Mike and Sean's little brother of the Brody boys. And she does her best keeping little Sean safe, and she does. So
is Jaws 2, okay, so I will admit that I've seen Jaws 2 once before, but I can't remember exactly. But I know it definitely continues with the Brody family. Is it like the little Brody boys grown up? There's two of them, right?
Michael is the oldest Brody boy. He's grown up. He's a teenager, a full-on older teen. Sean's still a little pipsqueak. He might be like 9.
Where's Dad?
Dad is still there. Dad's trying to get them.
So it's still the same.
We still get the entire Brody family.
Wow. Okay.
So we still.
Roy Scheider is in 2?
Roy Scheider is in 2.
Wow.
So is Ellen, who.
How did I forget that?
I don't know.
You know, I remember Jaws 3 more than I remember Jaws 2.
I think a lot of people might remember. But I feel like Jaws 2 is a good movie. People, I think, don't give it the consideration that it needs because it's overshadowed by Jaws, understandably, which is like a perfect movie. Jaws 2, if you separate it from Jaws, is a really good movie.
Not perfect, but a really good movie.
4.5 out of 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Solid movie. I love Jaws too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I love all the characters that are on those boats that are just being terrorized by Jaws. And I love Roy Scheider comes and of course he's going to save the day. He's Roy Scheider. Love it. Coming on the island. And I feel like it's fitting that we have 2 shark movies on this island because we're probably surrounded by sharks. Of all the other animals, shark is probably the number 1 predator. So we need more tips on how to defeat those.
What are the chances of our island having both cocaine and bears on it? I mean, if it had cocaine on it, then we might be having a great time.
Yeah, we wouldn't need to leave. We just be hanging
on
out
cocaine with a bear.
Cocaine, having a great time with our dance party.
That's right. With that said, we do not do cocaine.
Yeah. Cool. So all of my movies are on the island now.
All of your movies made it to the island. That means that I get to talk about all of my movies that could have been.
Yeah, tell me.
They're on my lifeboat. They're out there. I can't get to it because of the riptides. And I'm not that strong of a swimmer.
But with all of our education about sharks now, we might be able to ride them to your next island.
That's true.
That has what?
All right. The lifeboat movies that are not coming with us on to our desert island is the classic 1933 King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by Marion Cooper with Fay Wray, Robert Armstrong, and Bruce Cabot.
Which, for the 30s, that is a very brutal film.
It was. Okay, this is another movie that I have only seen bits and pieces of throughout my life. And I actually sat down and watched it, and I was actually like really moved by it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that are outdated. It's a movie from the 30s, but the way that they made the movie is actually like pretty incredible. Yeah. And it is way more brutal than I thought.
He chomps on so many people. Like the body count. Who knows what it is? He chomps, he squishes, he just decimates entire hordes of people.
King Kong ravaging New York. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why it's a classic. And I'm sad that it took me this long to actually watch it.
I agree. I did not see it until this past week when we were trying to research. We're just scrolling through a bunch of animal movies and we got to King Kong. We're like, why not? And watching it, I was like, man, why did it take me so long to watch King Kong?
Sorry, King Kong.
Sorry, Kong, you're going to Isla Nublar.
I also had Orca. From 1977.
Okay, that was...
Which I love. It's one of the only movies where like halfway through the movie, I thought like, you know what? The people who are the quote unquote heroes suck. I am rooting for the Orca.
Totally. It's totally like Team Orca for this movie.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I did not pick Orca, because I do love Orca, it's almost too tragic for me.
It's so sad.
It's extremely sad. From like the very beginning, I'm just like, oh, that's terrible. This poor orca, what this orca has experienced. And like, not even just once, but over and over again, this orca is just like
Yeah.
Tormented. It's got Bo Derek, who was the hottie of the time.
It has a soundtrack by Ennio Morricone.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Great
It
soundtrack.
has Charlotte Rampling. She does a great job. She's also a hottie of the time. So, I did originally have Orca on my list, but I took it off because I thought, you know what? I don't want to be that sad on this island, even though I do love Orca as a tragedy.
And that's a good reason for not bringing it on.
Yeah.
All right. Next on my list that's not coming with us is Jaws 3D.
Ooh, good
1983. And the reason why is because I love the nephew.
Nephew?
Well, okay, that's not the only reason, but a lot of great scenes. Dennis Quaid and Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
And they're like at SeaWorld.
Honestly, as a kid, I did love Jaws 3D because I loved SeaWorld as a child of the 90s. And I thought, what could be better than Jaws at SeaWorld? That was a great movie for me as a kid.
Yeah.
And I do love that scene. Dennis Quaid just off his rocker, running rampantly through the park, yelling, "Get out of the water!" And he can barely stand for various reasons if you look into tidbits of the time.
Yeah. And a great underwater facility scene, which is what I talked about, the nephew. So if you know that scene, that is kind of like a ridiculous, funny scene that I wouldn't mind watching over and over again. But unfortunately...
Poor nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not going to...
It's not making it onto the
not going to be. That's okay. And then my last Lifeboat movie is from 1980, and it's Alligator. Which we just watched today. I mean, it wasn't the first time watch.
It was
I've
a
seen
rewatch,
it a couple of times now. You know, as a kid, I always remember hearing stories about alligators in the sewer.
Yeah, don't flush your alligator down the toilet. This is a movie. It's like, what would happen if you actually did that?
And there were some evil scientists doing...
genetically modifying man's best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Funny tidbit here. I had one honorable mention, and it was Alligator.
I didn't have an honorable mention.
I just put it in there because I like so many movies. But my honorable mention was Alligator, directed by Louis Teague, who also directed Cujo.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. But they're not coming. They're on Isla Nublar.
All right. Well, what is coming? We have our list now. So what's coming with us? On our killer animal desert island, we are going to be watching Jaws, Jurassic Park, Congo, The Birds, Cujo, Lake Placid, Anaconda, Cocaine Bear, Arachnophobia, and Jaws 2.
Yep.
That is a pretty solid list. I love the diversity of animals that we have there.
And I'm okay with 2 sharks.
I don't think anything strayed too far from our guidelines.
No, I mean, I think we have a few genetically enhanced animals like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They were recreated by dino DNA. The cocaine bear was on cocaine, but that wasn't genetically enhanced, really. That's just like performance enhancing drugs. Yeah. But the others seem pretty natural, all natural.
I'm very excited for this island. We're going to have tons of fun and tons of friends that might also kill us.
Yes. Okay. If you had to pick an animal that you want to star in your next killer animal horror movie, what would it be?
Obviously a cat, because I feel like cats are missing from this list. We have scary cats in horror movies, and we have some movies that involve cat people.
Yeah.
Or cats morphing into people, or such like that.
Or we have like the bigger animal cats like lions, like in the movie Beast starring Idris Elba.
That's true, yeah.
That was an okay movie.
But that movie was basically Cujo, but just in a different setting.
Yeah, it was Cujo in a Jeep with a lion. I would like to see a terrifying house cat. Yeah, that's not Sleepwalkers. It's not like a half human, half cat kind of thing going on.
Just a straight up cat.
Straight up house cat murdering you. And not Pet Cemetery, because that cat was scary, but it was like a cat ghost.
So what animal would you pick aside from cats that has not been made into a horror movie, or at least one that you don't think? Because maybe you'll list an animal. Yeah, maybe cats do exist and someone will suggest to us in the comments, or maybe they'll email us.
Yeah, like, hey, have you seen Cat's Eye? I haven't. But I think
I don't know if that's necessarily about killer cats.
I think it's like 4 short stories that are interwoven by an evil cat. But it's not about killer cats, I don't think. Let's see. I would choose, what is creepy? What's something that's like really cute?
Duker.
A duker's cute. A tapir's cute. A slow loris. What about a slow loris? I feel like those need to have their day soon. People keep tickling them and it's not right. You know what? I'm surprised I have not seen any scary polar bear movies.
Oh, okay.
Like somebody in the Arctic gets attacked by like a deranged polar bear. Polar bear with a brain parasite.
Maybe it could be something like The Gray.
Yeah.
You know, where someone's being stalked by a polar bear.
Yeah. I feel like there are some in Alaska. So I feel like we could feasibly have a scary polar bear movie.
I bet it exists because everything exists.
All right. Let me know in the comments if you know of a horror/thriller that involves a killer polar bear. And it's like the main thing. It's not like, oh, there happens to be a polar bear in this one scene. No, I want like the main thing is this really scary polar bear. Yeah.
All right. And of course, we didn't really mention it, but we will be bringing our 3 cats along on the island.
They're coming. They're going to help us.
Potato, Freddy, and Jason.
Yeah.
So I guess that fulfills the cat category. They're already going to be on there, but they'll protect us from at least the birds.
They might protect us from the birds.
Probably nothing else.
Nothing else.
I am very happy with our list. Let us know what your favorite killer animals are.
Yeah, what's your favorite killer animal movie, and what animal do you feel like is under or not represented in these movies?
If you like what you heard and or saw, please give us a like, follow, email us, give us a rating, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And thank you. As always, if you made it to this point in the video or podcast, thank you for watching and or listening. This has been another episode of
Got It.